Welcome back. Episode 6. Wow, we made it to 6. Thoughts on a Thursday. For those of you watching, you can see my friends are back once again. Jenn, Keashawn, and Chris. How are you guys today?
Hello, so excited.
Hello, doing well.
Yes, doing good. Yes, you already know, Kasey.
We already know. For those of you watching, you can see my friends. For those of you listening, you can hear from my friends. For those of you, if this is your first podcast, we launch Thoughts on a Thursday because all four of us are currently enrolled in sport management programs. Jenn and I at Long Beach State, Keashawn and Chris at University of San Francisco. And we wanted to create an opportunity for friends to talk about things, talk about highlights, struggles, different things we've experienced so far in our master's programs that hopefully we can share to those of you listening in hopes of helping you avoid those mistakes or not have to face those things. So we pick a new topic every week. This week's topic is one I'm excited to talk about and hear from my friends about, and that's the idea of work-life balance or work, school, whatever else you got going on. But just balancing everything we got going on in our lives, maybe the personal things, the educational things, the career things, all those things got to have balance. Hopefully, that's the goal, I guess. So we'll throw it out to whoever. What does work-life balance look like for you? Is it something you're good at? Is it something you're struggling with? Something you're working on? Let's hear about work-life balance from the squad.
So I'll go first. I think in my situation, work-life balance, like as I've been going through the program, has been difficult. I support myself. I have since I was 18, so which was a reason why like it's taken me so long to like even get into grad school. And then obviously like shifting from healthcare to now sports management, I knew I had to gain as much experience as possible, which meant like no work-life balance. So, I once when I started the program, I had a full-time job, obviously, as well as the program going on, which I feel like our program at Long Beach State makes it very manageable, and that's one of the things they market about, and I agree with it. It's very easy to manage if you are like a working professional. But then it was the whole like, internship hours and, hitting on those different experiences that made that work-life balance a little bit difficult for me once it started getting like once I started realizing like I wanted to, get my feet wet and as many things as possible. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think it's difficult, especially if you are like working and going to school. But I think that you're going to make time for what's important. So I don't think I'm in a season right now, honestly, to say that I can sit back and have work life balance. Like, I think it's grind mode on, Mamba mentality, obviously, all day, every day. And so I think, yeah, I don't think I'm in that season right now, to be honest, for work life balance.
Man, I think for me, work-life balance definitely is a struggle. This is a funny topic because I've been thinking about this, then had it come up in personal relationships for sure. Because I'm currently working full time in grad school, got an internship, then trying to balance, platonic relationships, romantic relationships, family, right? And those things are like it's really a balance. Like you have to prioritize certain things, right? I have, grad school, I have work, those are necessities for me, right? Well, also my family is. So it's really just being intentional, I think, for myself. Sometimes you can get caught up in the flow of things and just, the day to day hustle and bustle, like, but I think you really have to be intentional if you want to make everything work. So that's where I'm at now. I'm like focusing on making things work, with work and with life and making sure that I'm a lot of my time, right? So I'm very intentional about who I talk to, where I go, the things I say yes to. I'm learning to say no more because if I don't see value in it, I'm not going to do it because I got so much other things that's trying to take up my time. I think work-life balance is so huge too because like it plays on the mental health aspect as well too. Like I know a lot of times, like in my job, I'm around counselors, so counselors always talk about burnout and taking care of yourself and things like that. And I'm thankful I got those people on my team because they check in on me, and they see everything that I have going on. So yeah, I'm getting better at it. And if for people that struggling, the advice that I can just give is just, I mean, honestly, really be intentional with your time and don't be afraid to say no. Um, and yeah, really prioritize the things that you really truly care about. Um, yeah.
You're on mute, Keashawn.
I did not know that. But yeah, when it comes to the work-life balance, though, I think a big part of it is just being organized. And I think that helps with just thinking about things too much or, just stressing over it too much. So like, yeah, I think like say like a calendar, I think is super important. Just kind of like putting down your priorities, like what Chris said, and then how I could work around that with maybe, adding like extracurricular activities, like spending time with family. Like I think, having a visual like that definitely helps, you know. Yeah. Also too, like for mental health, you definitely have to take care of yourself. I think we see a lot of successful people incorporate exercise into their life in some kind of way, whether that's running. I know Tony Robbins, like the motivational speaker, he always has like a little trampoline before he goes on stage, and he's just like backstage, just jumping on the trampoline. And I guess like it gets him hype, but that's his thing, it's like it gets him ready for the workspace. It gets his minds ready, the fans or the audience, they feel his energy, and yeah, it all comes with that balance. And that's something that works for him and keeps things intact, so yeah, I would definitely say to like find something that could take your mind off of things, but also exercise your brain, in a way. So also to make sure you eat something, I know a lot of times when we're working a lot, we forget to eat or we forget to hydrate, like, but that stuff is very important. Same thing with sleep, all of that stuff is important, and I think again, it just goes back to the calendar. I think just having things organized and, say like reviewing what your week is gonna look like from like Sunday or something like that. Um, yeah, that all plays like a huge role.
Yeah, I think for me, when it comes to work-life balance, I think at different seasons, even just in the year and a half, excuse me, that we've been in this program, some months have been really good, some months have been really bad. I would say I'm in the stage right now. It's really bad. Kind of the balance. I just started a new full-time position. Have an internship as well. As Chris mentioned, him and Keashawn and I intern with USC in grad school, coming down the home stretch of grad school. So we're focusing on our final project for grad school, and then just kind of some different things outside of that. Obviously, the podcast. I'm really bad right now at the work-life balance. I feel like I'm just kind of on all the time unless I'm sleeping. I'm just kind of on a hamster wheel and just kind of wake up and go through the motions and go to bed and go through the motions again the next day. But before that, I would say it was a little bit better. Was able to focus on other things, extracurricular, whether that was, I joined a kickball league a few months ago. And so that was just kind of something to get out and, meet some people and find some friends and do something in the community or be a part of a church or a youth group or not a youth group, a Bible study or something like that. So yeah, I think for me in different stages, it's ebbed and flowed. I'd say at the stage I'm in right now, it's definitely on the decline as far as having a handle on it, but uh, hope to get a better grasp on it for sure as we move forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now, Kasey, with our program, we're coming to an end, and like working on our research paper and stuff for our capstone, it's like you do kind of feel like more pressure. And things just kind of like those deadlines, of things just kind of keep like they feel like they're getting like heavier and heavier. So I think, yeah, just I liked what Keashawn said about like planning. Some of the like geniuses, they always plan. Tony Robbins, I know, like he actually wears the same thing like every day. And so like those, because there's spaces where like for work-life balance and like your mental health, I think where, if you're doing that planning, like if you're setting yourself up, even though like things get thrown at you, you're going to be able to like deal with that. And then, okay, you have everything else already lined up, so if it's like your clothes, if it's keeping your calendar, if it's like, meal prepping and stuff like that, like all those things I think are going to be important for work-life balance, just because it's going to make the flow of everything easier, whereas like you won't have to be worried about like, oh, I don't have food, like I need to go stop for something, or like, so just those little things I think that can allow, like in Chris's situation, like he has more things on his plate at the moment. So it's like being able to like what you can keep constant and like have already, like get those things situated. And then, the like what you need to say yes to or no to, like can come after, but like your foundation of your family, like your other relationships, like all those other things, if you can keep like lined up and, in a certain way, I think is a great space to start in when it comes to like work-life balance, if that makes sense.
No, that definitely makes sense for sure. Thank you for that, because yeah, you know, I need to do it. I've been doing it, but not the level that I need to do it for sure. Like back to like Kasey point, right? You feel like you just own all the time. You just wake up and it's like, okay, I got my to-do list, so I know what I need to do, and I'm just knocking it down, right? I'm killing that work, killing on the internship, but you need to prioritize certain things and just yourself too. So I know what I've been doing too. What I enjoy is like things that could just make me forget about work for just a little bit, right? Or being around somebody that can make me just laugh and be around, have those pockets where I'm with friends or I'm with my cohort and we going out to get drinks after class. Like those things is so much needed, because it's just like kind of takes your mind off of the grind and the hustle that's 24/7 right now. And although it's always a good thing, you know, you gotta have that balance. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm excited to see where I go with the work life balance.
yeah, I think, sometimes even like just being a little unbalanced, I don't think is necessarily a bad thing, you know, if you're doing what you love, and I think like we all kind of stepped into this space because we had some type of passion, some type of love in the area of sport, so like, yeah, sometimes you are going to be a little busier than other times, but um, I think that also shows that you're trying to like, be 100% present and, just delivering good work and your effort and all of that. But, I do think it is important, like over time, it will catch up with you. It might not catch up with you that first week or in that first month, but you start to get to 2 months, 3 months, you're like,
Yeah.
man, like I don't have a life, like, although you're doing what you love, but like sometimes you just gotta like do something that makes you forget, you know. Yeah, I would say that's my biggest thing, So I try to like, say either go to the gym or, play a little soccer or, go out with my classmates, after class sometimes like they're going out too to kind of decompress as well, so it's like I feel like yes, they're kind of supporting me in my decompression, but I'm also trying to support them, so like just I'm just trying to be like mindful of that. And but yeah, definitely like find something that works for you, that could kind of get your mind off of things.
Yeah, I think the two biggest things that have helped me, kind of tangible things. First, I know a few people have hit on it. Just the idea of a calendar. When I started the program at Long Beach State, I switched to the digital calendar. Before that, I was the, order a calendar on Amazon or pick one up at Target, and like I was the handwritten calendar guy. And then when I got into grad school, there was a lot more events on the calendar, so had to update. So I, obviously there's different platforms to create a calendar. I use Google Calendar, and everything's in there. If it's work related, if it's personal related. Again, bringing up the USC thing. If we're on a USC setup day, that's on my calendar. USC game day, that's on my calendar. Recording this podcast, that's on my calendar. Like everything's color coded, right? Personal items are one color, work items are another color. Like it's all on there, and I have it, and I look at it and refer to it every day. And it's been a lifesaver for sure to kind of keep things together. And then the other thing, what I do that works for me is every Sunday evening, I'll make a to-do list for the coming week. And I will actually print out the to-do list, and then I have it in this is just a blank piece of paper, but this little stand, and it just sits on my desk. And it's the to-do list for the week. So there's not this like, what am I supposed to do today? What am I supposed to do right now? Every Sunday night, I sit down. Here's my to-do list for the week. Sometimes I categorize it. Maybe there's a school, a personal, a podcast, a jobs, whatever it may be. But create a to-do list every week to help me get through the week and know what I need to do and not forget things. So that's what works for me. Anyone have any follow-up before I ask the last question?
I was going to say that I think we've touched on previous episodes about like having that support system, and I think that's another thing like with work-life balance is like your people are going to know like what you're doing, like they're going to be there like no matter what. So even if you kind of have to put them to the side burner like just for like a short period of time, like at the end of the day, like they're going to love and support you and know that like you're doing it like for the betterment of yourself and like your family. I know like recently I realized I was like, damn, like, my friends are in Florida, my family's in Florida, well now, and also like LA. And I'm here in Vegas, but it's just like I knew that like some of those close relationships kind of like I was not watering as much as like I like to. So, but I had conversations with each of them and just like letting them know like my bad, but they all understood. So I think it's important to remember that too, like when it comes to work-life balance, because I think like, those relationships with your family and like your friends are an important aspect of that. And just like knowing that again, they're gonna have your back like no matter what, even if it does take like, you saying, hey, like my bad, like I know I haven't been like as there as I wanted to be, but like, and I think they'll understand that. So that's just something that I wanted to bring up when it comes to like work-life balance, your relationships and stuff.
Yeah, I agree, Jen, too. I think that's the biggest thing is having an understanding circle. Like the ones that don't understand, sometimes it's definitely hard to make that work. But for the ones that do, they got your best interest, at hand, and they're really there for you, and they're gonna be there, for the long haul, and they're gonna reap the rewards and benefits of your life, So yeah, that's one of the biggest things. So I second that for sure.
Yeah, I second that as well. Couldn't have said it better. Um, yeah, yeah, well said, well said.
All right. Well,
Period.
I will ask a final question. I always like to try to get some tangible advice at the end of the episode. Going back to, and I know we've kind of used this hypothetical scenario, but someone's considering entering grad school. They're kind of nervous about being overwhelmed with school and how much it's going to take out, and am I going to be able to have a life outside of school? What advice would you give them? What advice would you share? We've obviously all been in these programs. I believe you guys are 3 months in at USF, and Jenn and I are a year and 3 months in ish. But what advice would you give to them as maybe they're thinking about grad school, thinking about higher education, and worried that it's going to be all consuming and overtake their life?
I mean, I think doing your research like on the program that you are gonna like be a part of, is important. Um, I know for me, like I specifically like my eyes opened more to Cal State Long Beach just because it did like market as such, like something that you can manage and like balance. So yeah, I mean, I think, you know, everyone's situation is going to be different. Whereas like I did have a full, like a lot of us like had full-time jobs like going into the program. So it's like, you know, if that's your worry, like I didn't think I was going to be able to do it, but like you can. So, and then, for Chris and Keashawn, it's like you guys are 3 months in. It may seem like such a long road, but it's like you never know like how much you can handle. Like right now there's so much on your plate, Kasey. There's so much on your plate, Chris. Like, but then one thing, like when we're done with school or whatever, it's like, oh, wait, like how did I even have that much time? Like there's still 24 hours in a day. Like it hasn't shortened, hasn't gotten longer. So it's like, I think that if if you're considering it, yeah, just make sure the program is something that like can fit within like your schedule, like location, things like that, logistically. But I think you like there will be time. Like you'll figure out a way.
Yeah, definitely. Like when jumped in the grad school world, people that had masters before me was like, "Oh, your life is over. You're not gonna have time." And I was like, "Man, I hear you, but that's not me. I'm about to still be able to live my life." Reality is, yes, a lot of stuff is gonna get cut out. That is the reality, but it's not the end of the world. Like you still can make a lot of stuff work, right? That's why we doing this podcast on work life balance, because it's a necessity. You're going to be able to manage it. You just have to use the tools that's right in front of you, your support system, be intentional, um, and just keep a positive outlook, right? And just understand yourself. I think that's the biggest thing with where I'm at now. I'm starting to understand myself. And then you're able to adapt. Like Keashawn could probably testify to this. Like our first class was like diving into just a cold plunge. Like we was like, man, this is a lot. But now it's like, we went through marketing, and it's like we understanding what's expected of the in the program. Where are we going to class, and guest speakers, events. So you start to adapt to the environment and to the lifestyle, and your body and your mental and your life is not so much in shock. So yeah, just be intentional, and keep plugging away at it, and understand that there there's a reason to it. One of my coaches used to always say there's a method to the madness. So if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that it is true. Like what Chris said, that first class that we had, I felt like it was a like sport management boot camp. It was real intense. I felt like it was a lot being thrown, but the emphasis was on professional development, and I I really appreciated it, a lot because I could see I immediately recognized a lot of areas that I could improve on. But our professor, he was like a direct role model of like what I felt like a lot of the classmates were trying to get to, just the way I guess like how he spoke, or being comfortable with public speaking, and just like things of that sort. Um, yeah, also like I've also like watched this show called Ballers that I'm pretty sure, some folks have peeped, but um yeah, like the lifestyle is just very fast, like just being in sport, whether you're an agent, a recruit, a coach, a GM, an owner, it's a very fast-paced lifestyle, you know. And the thing is like a lot of people just don't get that opportunity, you know. And if you're stepping into this space, like you're a candidate for that, So it's like, in a way, it's just kind of like recognizing that and accepting that, But yeah, it just comes back to like what you really want to do. Make sure that it is something that you really want to do. I also think like we spoke to Chris about this. Like the fact that we have a master's just increases our chance of getting a job a lot more, and it's like that when it comes to adding any type of value to yourself, like when it comes to maybe certifications or, going for the doctorates, like now when you go into those jobs, it's like you're a stronger candidate and you're much more open to like, to getting into a lot of different positions. So yeah, I think that's my biggest thing, it's just like recognizing that this is what I want to do, this is what I love. I love sport, and so I just want to go out and give like my 110% every time. And yeah, like when I feel like when you kind of keep that mentality, it doesn't really feel like work, although the work-life balance kind of catches up to you, but yeah, you're gonna have to make those tough decisions. At this point, we're a pro, and like we can't only work for pros and not consider ourselves not a pro, but we are pros as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the advice I would share, it actually was shared by a previous guest on the podcast, so I'm going to give him credit. Drew Bow talked about it, but it's the idea of scheduling your priorities. If there's things that you name as a priority to you, family, friends, significant others, going to the gym, whatever it may be, include that in your schedule. If that's what it takes for you to make sure that it happens, if that's what it takes for you to make sure that you set aside that time to do that thing, do it. If you've got to put in your calendar on Saturday from 9 to 11, I'm going to hang out with my friends, to make sure you do hang out with your friends, put it on your calendar. It's okay. It's something that's important. It's something that is important to you. It's something that is valuable to you. As we talked about before, kind of getting away from things, getting our mind off of work and business and just having fun. I think scheduling your priorities is a huge advantage when it comes to work-life balance. With that said, thank you so much for being a part of episode 6 of Thoughts on a Thursday. Jenn, Chris, and Key, thank you for being a part of episode 6 of Thoughts on a Thursday, and we'll see y'all in the next one.
Bye.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you, brother.